Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on donuts and tassels. So this is a cubic right angle weave sort of donut shape, and we're going to actually make these tassels to go with the shape. So I've got two sizes here. These are with 4mm pearls or round beads and 4mm bicones and 8/0 seed beads, and the smaller one is with 3mm round beads, 11/0 seed beads, and 3mm round 3mm bicones. So these two are the same. This might be a slightly larger, maybe a 5mm or 4.5 if this is a gemstone. So we're going to do the same technique for each one, and the only time it's going to change is, the amount of units we put on. So I just wanted to give you a quick look at what it looks like on, and no, I'm not wearing it, I just took a picture. So here it is on my favorite white tank top. This is the larger one. So there, and so this is how I would wear it, sort of, with the tassel right there. And here's the smaller one. So really not that much difference when you put it on, So here, this is, that's the smaller one. That's the larger one. So both very pretty. We're going to make the larger one for the tutorial because it's just so much easier. It'll be so much easier for you to see everything. All right, so I'm going to clear this off, get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my channel. See you in a minute. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So I'm going to give you all the materials for the larger piece because that's the one we're going to create on the video, and all the materials for the smaller piece are going to be in the description box below the video. All right, so you need some 4mm pearls, round beads, gemstones, whatever, 8/0 seed beads, two different colors of 4mm bicones, and I think I forgot to tell you in the intro, this is a reversible piece. So that's why you'll need, you use two different colors of the bicones so you can reverse it. You need some 2.5-inch head pins, and I'll give you the gauge in the description box, in the materials list in the description box under the video. So make sure you have a bunch of them. You need 3, but I would have more of them. But you want to make sure they're at least 2.5 inches long, because we're going to put the tassel and the little decorative beads on it. It needs to be long enough. You'll need 2 different, or 1 chain. I'm using 2 different chains here. I'm using a 2mm Rolo and a 2.4mm, this is like a rectangular Rolo, or any combo, or just one is fine. You need about 3 feet of that. You need a bead cap, and this is right here, goes right here, or some kind of tube bead. I'm using a bead cap. You want the interior to be about 8mm. So inside, to fit the chain, you need about 8mm interior diameter. You need some decorative beads to put above your bead cap. I'm just using a couple of spacers and a rondelle. All sizes, everything will be in the description box. So if you want to do this little decorative piece, these little decorative connectors here, you'll need several 1-inch eye pins, some 4mm, 3 or 4mm beads, some 11/0 seed beads, and some, I think these are 6mm jump rings. So again, I'll check all the sizes. And then you'll need some chain to put around your neck. So I'm attaching, the way I've done this is I've made these 2 decorative sides, and then I just attached a chain to it. So you'll need about 3 feet of that chain, close to that, depending on how long you make this part. All right, so there we go. Grab a stop bead, which, here we go, size 10 beading needle. Here we go, forgot to put that out. And you'll need your 8-pound fire line. You could use wildfire here too. All right, so that's just about everything. If I forgot anything, I always put it in the description box below the video, so don't forget to click the down arrow to show more. All the materials for the smaller one will be there, and everything here, all proper sizes, amounts, everything will be in there. Places to purchase beads if you need to. So don't forget to check down there. All right, so I'm going to clear this off, and we're going to get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave about a 12-inch tail. We're going to use that tail a little bit later. So I've put on my needle, and I'm going to drop down to my stop bead, a 4mm bead, an 8/0, a 4mm, and an 8/0. Now if you're doing the small one, you're just going to use the 3 and 11/0s, 3mm and 11/0s. drop those down. I'm going to sew those into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead. This is what I have. I'm going to pick up an 8/0 purl and an 8/0. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this one. Giving a pull. I'm going to sew through the 8/0 on the bottom and then through this purl. So I'm just doing right angle weave units at the moment. I'm going to pick up an 8/0, a 4mm and an 8/0. Exiting here, just going to sew through the other side of the bead I'm exiting. Like that. So through this 8/0 and down through this purl. So I have 4 of my, let me move this stop bead out of the way, 4 of my 4mm beads on, and I've got 3 8/0s on either side. So I'm going to let you get to this point, and then when we come back we're going to turn it into a cube. It's time to make our first cube. So there are many ways of doing this, and I think the best way of doing it is the way that's going to be easiest for you. So I have a playlist of all different ways of doing this, and you could check that out. I'll link it below. Or you can check any YouTube video that does cubic right angle weave and see what's easiest for you. I find this is super easy. So I've taken a contrasting color just so you have something to focus on when I pull the cube together. And I'm hoping that this will be helpful for those of you who haven't done this. So I'm exiting here. I'm going to pick up my 8/0. Yours will be the same color. I'm going to sew through the purl on the other side. I'm just going to leave this open so you can see the thread path. Okay, so there, I have this one on. And then I'm going to take another 8/0, so yours will be the same color. I'm going to sew through the other side. Sew the purl at the other end, so that's the original purl that we're coming out of. And when you look at my thread path, do you see how I have just these 2 seed beads on? And they're going to connect with these 2 end beads to make a unit. So I'm going to pull, and I'm going to try to pull it without putting my finger over it for a second so you can see. You see how that's turning into a unit? Like that? So now I have to put my thumb over it. I'm going to pull, and there's my unit. Okay, so just get to this point and then come on back and we'll reinforce the unit. This is where I am. So I want to reinforce both of these ends. So you see where the 8/0s are all sort of wonky? They need a third thread. They have 2. 1, 2. I need to put a third thread right here. So I'm exiting the purl. I'm just going to hold it like this. And I'm going to sew through all the seed beads. Of course, yours will be all the same color. So these 2. This guy. Across through this one. Just the 4 beads that are right there. And as I pull, see how it's tightening? And then back up through this one. Okay, so now I have this one side is reinforced. So get that done and then we'll continue. Okay, so we've reinforced this end. So I'm just going to move my piece a little bit this way. I just want to use these beads to get to this end so I can reinforce these beads. So here, exiting here, I'm just going to sew through this one. Just using them to get to where I want to sew. Now I have these 4 beads to sew together. So I'm going to sew through these 2. This one. Through this one. Just going around all those 4 beads. One more time. Through this one. And when I pull, I have these 4 beads reinforced. Now what I'm going to do is just sew up through this purl right here. That's going to set me up for putting on more beads. So when you look at this, do you see how you have all your units on and you have a little cube? And even now it looks a little wonky, but as we continue to add units, you'll see how it turns into, you know, a nice cubic form. All right, so get that done and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, so we've gotten the hardest part done. Now the fun part happens. So exiting this bead here, so the bigger bead, the 4mm or the 3mm, I'm going to pick up a seed bead, the pearl and the seed bead. Exiting right here, I'm just going to sew through the other side of the bead I'm exiting. Like that. Now all you want to do is just rotate your unit towards you. So here, this is facing me now, just going like this. Now my seed beads are going to be visible right here. So I'm just going to advance my needle through the next seed bead. So I have to add a unit on, so I just need 2 beads to add to these 2 right here. So picking up 2 seed beads, sewing through this one and this one. You can do them one at a time, just doing them both together. Now I have another unit on there. I'm going to rotate my piece again and advance my needle up through the next bead. So you're just rotating and advancing like that. I'm going to pick up a seed bead and the round bead, the pearl, to add another unit on. So I'm going to work with these 2 beads, sew through this one and this one. Like that. I'm going to just rotate my piece again and just advance my needle up 1 bead. You can only go one place here. Go up through that seed bead, sew through this one, I want to add a bead here to make a unit, so exiting here, sew through these 2, makes another unit, across the top bead, and now you want to sew through all these end beads. So you have these 4 beads on the end, the 2 pearls and the 2 11-ohs or 2 8-ohs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew through the next pearl and then around all the beads. So here, here, just around all the end beads, here, and through this pearl. So you want to make sure you have a thread in between each one. Now I'm ready to put another unit on. Do that one more time. Seed bead, pearl, seed bead, exiting here, sew up through this one, other side of the bead you're exiting, rotate so that these beads are facing you, advance your needle up through the seed bead. Pick up 2 seed beads, sew through this one and this one, so I'm just doing them both at the same time, like that. Rotate, advance your needle straight up through the next bead. So let's be that pearl, pick up a seed bead, a pearl, exiting here, sew through this seed bead and the pearl, like that. Rotate so this side is facing you, sew directly through the bead right above, through the top seed bead, pick up a seed bead, sew through these 2, across the top, and we're going to just have this side facing us that we just put on here, and we're just going to reinforce these at the end. Here, through this one, this one. So just the 4 beads on the end, rotating, just so I get through the last one again. There we go. So now this is all tight. And you see how you're getting a nice long unit on? Of course, you know, I have my 2 white beads on there, but this is how yours will look. All right, so you're just going to continue doing that making units until you have 18 units on for the large one. So I have 18 units around and 20 for the smaller one, which I don't have in front of me at the moment. So 18 if you're using the 4mm beads, 20 if you're using the 3mm beads. And then meet me back here and we'll connect the circle. All right, see you in a minute, or in a few. Okay, we're back for a second. I just wanted to clarify how to count your units. So if you're making the larger one using the 4mm beads, you're going to have 18 4mm beads on. So just count the 4mm beads. If you're doing the smaller one with the 3mm beads, make sure you have 20 of your 3mm beads on, and that makes it easier to count everything. All right, so have fun and come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So let's make this into a circle. So we're going to connect the ends. So I have all my 18 pearls on. I'm exiting this pearl, so I'm going to call that the top of this pearl. So I'm going to use the white beads. So I'm going to pick up a seed bead and I'm going to sew through the top of the bead on the other side. So you see how I'm going to connect right there? Like that. And I'm going to pick up another seed bead. Coming out of the bottom of this bead, I'm going to sew up through the bottom of this one. So very similar to what we did when we did our first unit. I'm going to rotate my piece so that this part is facing me. And I'm going to sew directly up through that next bead, which is the seed bead. And I pull. That's what it looks like. So the beads I'm going to be working with now are this bead that I'm exiting, the white one, and this seed bead. So I need to add a seed bead right here. Pick up a bead, coming out of the top of this one, sew through the top of this one. When I pull tight, do you see how I get my unit on? Sew through this one, and through this one. When I pull, that side is finished. I'm going to rotate my piece, and I'm going to advance through the next bead, which is the pearl. That's what I have. I'm going to pick up a seed bead, exiting the top of this pearl, sew through the top of the pearl on the other side. Now I have that unit on. I'm going to sew through this bead, through this one. Now all I have left to do is to connect the inside beads. So if you can see, I hope that you can see this. I have 2 white seed beads here, just for reference, and then these 2 on the sides are going to make the unit. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to sew all the way around these beads just to get a thread in there. Now I might not be able, it might not show as well on camera, so we'll see. So I'm going to sew through this one. I just want to sew these 4 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just make sure you get a thread through them. So that's 1. I hope you can see that. 2, 3. So let me just move it around so I hope the camera's catching it. Okay. Through this one. And then back through this one. See, when I'm looking through my viewfinder here, it looks very clear like the camera's catching it, but it may not, just at the angle it's at. So all I've done, if it's not staying, if you can't see it that well, is I've connected, I've just put a thread around these 4 beads. The white, the bronze, the white, and the bronze. So I've done that. Now I'm just going to rotate, sew through the next bead, which is my pearl. And now I've connected my piece. All right, so get that done and then come on back and we'll start embellishing. Okay, we're back. So now we're going to start embellishing, which is going to tighten this component up. But first I'm going to move my tail thread. So my tail thread was pretty long. I usually leave about an 8 to 10 inch thread for a tail. So I can actually use that. Even if you have probably could use it if you had about 7 inches, 6 inches. But anyway, we're just going to move this. So I want to take this tail thread, and I was exiting a seed bead. It's just wherever you're exiting, just sew around the unit until you get to this side. So see where I'm exiting a seed bead on that side? I'm just going to put that down now. Just just getting it out of the way. You can always add a thread if your tail thread is too short. So I'm just holding that for later. So I'm exiting this pearl. This is my working thread. I'm just going to sew through this seed bead right here. Now I'm going to pick up a 4mm bicone if you're doing the bigger one, 3mm if you're doing the smaller one, and I'm going to sew through each each seed bead on the outside. 8/0 in this case, 11/0 for the smaller one. If you notice, when you pull, it tightens it up. It feels so loose and floppy until you do this. So I'm just going to keep sewing my bicones on. Just going to do that all the way around, and just, keep your tension even. You can give it a little pull at the end too. I'm pulling, as I go, but trying to be, not pull too tight, trying to keep it even, giving it a snug pull. And then what you can do is, if you have enough of your tail thread left over, do the same thing on this side. Add a bicone through each seed bead on this side, and then meet me back here and we'll continue. Just back for a second. So if you didn't want to put that second round of bicones on the back, you could just leave it like this, and that way it would be like a little sort of rounded in on one side and flat with the bicones on the other, and you could still wear it either way. So that's how it would look. I kind of like it with the bicones on both sides, so I'm just going to continue. But you have options here as far as what you want to put here. Alright, so I'm just going to continue to the end, and then I'm just going to sew, and look how sturdy that's gotten. So, and then after this, I'm going to sew in my threads, because then you're done with your unit, and then we're going to continue. Okay, we're back. So my donut's done, and here's my tassel. So I'm going to show you how to make the tassel now. So for this tassel, I'm going to be using 14 2.5-inch lengths of this is a Rolo chain, and it is what I used on this is a 2mm Rolo and a 2x4mm square or sort of rectangular Rolo chain. I just kind of mixed them together a bit, and then these I put on after I put them around the bead cap. But the initial tassel is going to be 14 pieces that are 2.5 inches long. For this one, this is a 2mm Rolo, but then I have a thinner chain in between. So I think I used about 10 to 12. You can even use 14. It just depends on how big this opening is. Now this one I think is 6.5 to 7 millimeters. I would push it a little bit bigger if you can get maybe an 8mm bead cap or 7.5 millimeter, and then just adjust the amount of chain you put inside, because we're going to be compressing the chain and putting it inside there. So here I've taken my 2.5-inch eye pin or head pin. I already cut one piece, and I'm just going to put a piece of chain on. I'm just going to measure 2.5 inches like that, and then I'm just going to clip it. I'm going to give myself maybe one link extra, and now I have another one on, and I'm just going to keep doing that, and you'll trim it at the end, any pieces that are too long. So get that done, get 14 or 12 or whatever, number. It's going to be something around there. Done, and then maybe back here and we'll continue. Okay, we're back and all the chain is done. So this is how I'm going to hold the pin, and I have a very, very thick head pin here. I hope yours is going to be thinner, so this is going to be a little bit tough for me to bend, but we'll get there. So I'm going to make sure one side has like a long length and the other side with the head pin or eye is got a little it's got less. Then I'm just going to pull. I'm going to squish these together. See that? See how it's making a loop? I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to actually pull, like really twist them and pull them tight. See that? Okay. And then you want to wrap this loop around. So I'm going to use my finger, but you can actually, see if this works, you can use your pliers. This is a tough one, but we'll get it. Okay, just like that. So you see how I have this loop here. Now I'm just going to take my wire cutters and I'm just going to cut that loop off. And then just Give it a little squeeze like that. So this is what I have right now. So now I'm going to hold it, and I want you to just put your pliers here and bend it up like that and across. So looks kind of like that. Then I'm just going to put my thumb here, and I'm just going to twist it up. So see how I've made myself like a little holder for my chain. Now if it's looking a little wide, then just all you have to do is take a big flat nose, and you can just give it a little squeeze. I want you to squeeze this part. Hold on. Oh, like that. A little bit. You can, I mean, you don't really have to worry about that. The top part, it's all going under the bead cap. So if I put my bead cap on, how's my fit going? Okay, that's not too bad. I could actually kind of just bring this over just a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay, so you just have to get it in the right spot. So then it ends up kind of looking like this. That's good. And then on goes the bead cap. Then I'm just going to straighten it out like that. So that worked out very well. There we go. So you just have to play with it a little bit. I'm going to put on whatever decorative beads you want to put on top. So I have a little spacer, Rondelle spacer. Now I'm just going to make sure everything's nice and tight, pull it up. I'm going to cut it to about 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to make sure that everything is pulled up. I'm going to bend it over, and then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and just going to make a simple loop that's just going to be right down in the top of the cap. And there is my tassel. Alright, so easy enough, fun, get that done, and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, let's attach the tassel to one end. So I have a head pin here, and these are the world's worst head pins. I think I got these from Wish. Look at the size of that. It's like a nail, but this is all I have. So a regular head pin is a little bit, you know, smaller head. So you can just kind of, like, I'm just putting it right in between 4 beads on the inside and coming down out here, and I'll just make sure when I put this one on at the top that it's directly across from it. So just like that, I'm just going to actually, I think I'm going to put a bead on here. Should we put a little bead on the bottom? Let's grab a bead. So let me clip that off. Okay, so here I'm just going to take a bead. Just it's easier for me to make a loop on the bottom if I have a bead on there. Alright, so there. That looks prettier. Just going to fold it over. Going to cut it to about, I don't know, 3/8. I'm going to just hold it like so and just make a loop. I'm not even wrapping a loop. I've just made a regular loop, just like that. And then I'm going to, I'll open this guy. Open up either one. Like that. Attach him. Like that. Close it up. And you have your tassel on. And I'm going to do the same thing for the top. I'm just going, this one I wrapped a loop, but I don't think you need to wrap a loop. I'm just going to take the same head pin that I took here. I'm going to go up through the opposite side. Just make sure it's in the center. Like that, so it's centered. One is, you know, right here and right here. I think I need to move mine over one like that. And then put a little bead there and make a loop just like I did there, and then meet me back here and we'll continue. Okay, we're getting close. So I just want to show you how to make these little links. So all I did was take a 1-inch eye pin. Let me move this guy out of the way for the moment. I put on 2 11/0 seed beads, a 4mm pearl bead, whatever you want to put there, and 2 11/0 seed beads. I'm just going to just fold that over like that. I'm going to snip it off till about, I don't know, like I've been doing 3/8 of an inch. Let me just do it over here so it doesn't fly. And I'm just going to put on my, grab it with my round nose pliers and just make a loop. So very simple. And then what I do with this, so you hold it like this, and if they're facing in opposite directions, I just twist them around so that they're facing the same direction. That way they'll fall nicely. And you're just going to do a bunch of those, and in between you're going to put either a big jump ring or a small jump ring, whatever you like. So I'm just, see how they're attached, alternating with this ring, just like that. Okay? So then we're just going to take, so here I have my loop, my bead in my loop here, right at the top. I have a jump ring, a big jump ring right here. I'm just going to, so here I've taken 3 of those little connectors that I made, and I attached them. I didn't have enough of this chain, but I just had a decorative chain, and I attached enough so I could just put it around my head. I don't have to clasp it. So a nice long piece, I don't know, a couple of feet. You know, you just have to measure where you want your tassel to fall. So that way it's easy. You don't even need a clasp. So then I'm just going to put on my loop, one side, the other side. I'm going to close it up. I know it's hard to see me do this type of thing here just because of my camera angles, but you know, that's just, you're just closing the loop on that. So an easy to do. You don't really need a bail on this. So I thought, you know, if you don't have a bail, you can just do it this way. So here's the tassel. Here's the necklace. I love how it came out. Isn't that pretty? I wish I could hang it this way. You could see it. You can't, other than, unless if I just do it. Let me just put it on. I'll put it on sort of on the bust a little bit. See if that helps. Let me move everybody out of the way. A little bit of an involved project, but I think so much fun. You know, it's kind of fun to play with, you know, with things other than just bead weaving. So I have a little bead weaving and a little bit of stringing and a little bit of wire. And here we go. Here are our donut tassels. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun making this. I just can't wait to wear this in the summer. It's going to be so much fun. Just have a nice long necklace on, nothing tight around the neck. Really fun. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.